So let me make sure we get that going here first. All right, mute. All right, good. It's already muted. All right, we are officially live on YouTube and we are ready to roll. So first off, everybody, welcome to our webinar here today. Hi, Sharon, Curriculum Instruction from Doc Mennonite Academy. Excellent. And again, if you are just now popping into the webinar, please let us know where you're from and what you teach in that chat window. And like I said, we'll get started. We are recording this webinar, so it will be on our YouTube channel probably tomorrow. I'd like to say later today, but that's probably not going to happen. So later tomorrow is probably the better bet. So feel free to share this out with anybody that may have missed or that you know that you think might benefit from this webinar. But I am John Smith, Teacher Success Manager here at Book Creator. And that's all I'm going to say because you're not here to see me. You are here to see our guest, which is Jen. So Jen, thank you so much for joining us here today. I'll let you do a full introduction, but I'm excited about this because Jen and her school district, they have been partners with us for a few years now, and it is amazing to see what is happening in their district with Book Creator and with their students and all that stuff. So this is really exciting. I'm so super excited to see what we've got in store for us, Jen. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you and we'll let things happen. I guess the last piece of housekeeping that I totally forgot, if you do have questions, put them into the Q&A box and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions as we go along. If there's things that excite you or ideas that you're getting popping into your head, put those into the chat window. We'll keep an eye on that as well. So again, thanks, Jen, for being here. I can't wait to hear what's going on.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Ambrosius. I am an intervention specialist with Cincinnati Public Schools in Ohio. I have been with my district for 26 years. I worked in general education, teaching primary grades and also special education. My current role is an intervention specialist on our district's curriculum access team. And the purpose of our team is to support students with disabilities, their teachers, their parents, and other members of the IEP team with tools and strategies that help the students gain access to their curriculum, whether or not that's our state standards or extended standards for learning. Our district, just to give you a little information, Cincinnati Public has about close to 35,000 students. We have around 2,200 teachers, and we have a total of 64 schools. We have some very interestingly grouped schools as well. We have pre-K buildings. We have buildings that are kindergarten through 6th grade. We have a couple of buildings that are kindergarten through 8th grade. We have some 7 through 12 buildings, and we also have some unique buildings here in our district that service kindergarten through 12th grade, including an art school and a couple of Montessori high schools as well. I was pretty excited earlier today, John, that I looked at our usage, and it looks like as of today, we have about 960 teachers who are using Book Creator, almost 5,000 students. And we're up to like 30,000 books created in the district, which is super exciting for me. When I first started using Book Creator, I was a classroom teacher. I worked as an intervention specialist in a specialized classroom servicing students with behavioral challenges and mental health needs. And I used Book Creator at that time more so as a tool to give my kids some access to some creativity. But as I took on my current role and we went out for the pandemic in the spring of 2020, I've grown to learn many, many uses for Book Creator, as well as partnering with teachers throughout the district. So what I'm going to do today is kind of share our partner spotlight book as a kind of a background tool there and talk through. There were 2 teachers that worked with me on that book, Carrie Ginn, who is an intervention specialist in a resource room at an elementary school in the district, and Christy Lynn, who is an intervention specialist in a specialized multiple disabilities classroom in one of our K-8 buildings. So I'm going to talk through what we did there. And then I would love to, if we have time, share some of our book examples with you guys. So let me share here. And John, you'll let me know if this doesn't work, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, are we shared?
Do not see anything just yet. Down at the bottom should be share.
Share. Is it not?
And then maybe click a window. Am I not?
Yep, I have the window up.
I am not seeing that. Let us.
Sorry, guys.
Yep. Hang on one second, everybody. Sorry about that. Jen, I'm gonna make you the host real quick. Let me see if that fixes things. Let me see if I make you the host. If not, then I can share the book, and then we can kind of go from there.
Still not sharing?
No, I'm not seeing it yet. Let's do this here. Jen, can you send me the link to your book real quick, and I will just I can share it, and I'll flip the pages for you.
Sorry, guys.
If you want to, let's see here, I'll reclaim host duties. Still make you a co-host. I'm still not sure what's going on here real quick, but let me.
Yeah, it's saying sharing on my end, but
That's so weird. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna share my screen. Go from here. Sorry, there's my car. Everybody.
Well, John, he loves his cars.
All right, so here we go. Let's get the car out of there. All right, here we go. So Jen, go ahead. I will flip through the pages. Just tell me when you're ready for me to move on to
Perfect.
the next one.
All right, so you can open up there. And our beginning there gives you a little bit of information about our district. I think I shared with you a little more than what's on there. Book Creator first came to us as a tool through our Department of Student Services, which is where we service our students with disabilities. We have a wide range of students that we service, multiple disabilities classrooms. We have autism classrooms. We have specialized classrooms for social emotional learning, SLIFE. We have just a wide variety of students that we service. We have, through the pandemic, Book Creator was gracious enough to open up our domain access, and we are currently working to spread it as far across the district as we can. So that is the little beginning there on our page. If you could turn to the next page there, John. So when we talked with Dan and Lainey creating this book, one of the things that Christy and I were really excited about were the features that are embedded into Book Creator and the variety of options for students. So if you're a new user, there's so many opportunities for kids to show their creativity, adding pictures, videos, voice recordings, video recordings, pictures of themselves, which they absolutely love to add in there. And most recently, the apps that are linked into the Book Creator has been amazing. So we can turn there, John, and look at our next area. Carrie Ginn is one of our primary intervention specialists. And one of the things that she has been using Book Creator for is scaffolding writer's workshop. So her students are in gen ed classrooms. She pulls them out for resource room services, and she's created a wealth of books and ideas and thoughts for incorporating her kids into the gen ed classroom, specifically through writing, because it's such a difficult piece for so many of our students with disabilities. So she's created these survival stories. They're linked to the writer's workshop in the classroom, where she gives the kids some basis for their writing, and then they kind of jump in and they build their stories within the book creator book with some prompts already embedded in there from her. She's seen some amazing results with her kids in that increase in their wanting to create written expression. So if we can go to the next one there, John, thank you. Carrie also she has some students who still need some instruction in their daily phonics and building that reading fluency. She's created several books there. And when I'll share out my library code with some of these templates in it. She's created books. For example, when she's working on, I know that Say It, Split It, Spell It's a fun one. She'll give that book to her students as an introduction, knowing that the next lesson they're going to be working on are bossy R words. And there's a page within that book where the students will go inside and they'll practice and listen to her voice recorded as she reads the words the way that she's expecting them to read them once they get into the lesson. They do some practicing with finger spelling, to spell out those words that they're working on. And just they're able to go back to the book as many times as they need to before and after the lesson to reinforce the skills that she's teaching. Her red word book, those are words, our sight words are our basic words that we expect students to remember. They're not necessarily words to sound out. So she's created a book there with practice for those skills as well. I know that Carrie also has created the books on the next page there that's showing. She's brings in videos and other curriculum resources into the books. And then students are able to use all of the great accessibility features to show their comprehension of text that they're covering in class or in the resource room. And many of those kids are not able to show that written expression through that paper pencil or even through just typing into something such as a Google Doc. And so it's providing the opportunity for them to create things like summaries, summarize text, find main idea, find supporting details that they wouldn't be able to do without the accessibility features the book creator offers. All right, so we can go to the next one there.
All right. And before we turn the page here, Jen, this book is available to everybody to see. So we'll make sure that we put that link. I'll actually copy it right now. We'll put that link in the chat window so you can see it, and we'll make sure we share it later as well. But all of these examples will be in there for you to take a look at and be able to share with other people as well. So just want to make sure we said that before we get going here.
And most of her books I have copied into the library I'm going to share with you before we leave today as remixables. So you guys should be able to grab them through there as well if you wanted to actually use them as a template. So these again are some examples that Carrie used. She did a great job at the end of the year last year. We as teachers all know that at the end of the year is testing time, and we have all of these different tests that we need to complete, and the kids are stressing out about all of these things. And so Carrie created what she calls here her spring training book. And so she included some of the testing skills that the kids would use in that book so that they could have that to practice and to use before they actually took the tests. So that's another way that we've been incorporating Book Creator into our daily lessons. The two books on the next page, her image hunt, her students work in teams when they do the image hunts. And they're looking for a specific type of words. So within the book, she has the pages and the kids are looking, I think it says their example IR words, and they search through the images to find those IR words as a team. She also has created the Choose Your Own Adventure. Those are books that have they offer the opportunity for the kids to go in and do recordings of themselves reading passages that are included in the book. And under the passages, she includes lists of vocabulary words that they encounter throughout the passages. So the students love going in and reading the passages, listening to themselves, record that. They can take the recording out and put a new one in if they want to, and just continue to build their reading fluency. And then also the recordings of them reading those lists of words just really boosts their confidence in seeing the amount of words that they're reading from one passage to another, and from one week to another, and so forth.
Jen, I absolutely love the idea of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I think those are great. I remember as a kid reading the Choose Your Own Adventure books and how exciting it was to see what happens with each choice that you make. And I think what's going to end up happening here is that your kids are going to be so excited about this idea of this Choose Your Own Adventure that eventually they're going to be like, I want to make my own, right? And I think what's even cooler about this, right, other than the fact that kids are excited about this, is that making a Choose Your Own Adventure story is fun, but it's very complex, right? Because you have to, it's like a factor tree on steroids, right? You have to try to figure out, if I choose this instead of this, what pages does it go to and where does it go? So this is really neat because it's fun to see kids thinking and how they get from place A to place B to place Z. And again, I think a lot of times, up front, they may not want to try that right away, but being part of the book will get them excited about it. And then they're going to want to create their own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Her kids are just crazy over those books. Okay. So, what some of the things that Carrie talks about here in this video are just the amazing impact that she saw with her end of the year benchmarking. Last year, I believe she used Book Creator in all of the aspects and examples we've shared throughout the entire year. And the changes in her student scores from the beginning of the year to the end was enormous. So it's just, we talked a lot about, and Christy and I talked a lot about in this book too, that it provides an ownership to the kids. It takes it out of our hands and it becomes their tool. And by making it their tool, they get more excited about the learning and about the impact that it has on their own growth. And so that's what when you get the link here and you'll be able to watch Carrie, you'll hear her talk about how excited she was to see that impact. Okay. So Christy and I just, when Dan and Lainey asked us what one of our favorite things about Book Creator is, we hear differentiate, provide different opportunities for different types of learners. And one of the things that I absolutely love about Book Creator is that I don't have to do that because it does it for me. I teach the kids how to use it when I go into classrooms, and I've been doing this year, I think I've trained at least one classroom a week since school has started. And when I go in there, and the first thing we do is, kind of go to the plus sign and we start looking at all of the options they have there. The kids, I'll tell you, they think the Google image search is amazing, but once we hit the camera and they realize they can put themselves in there and they can record themselves, it just lights up their day. And then we branch down into, the text box, and you've got the text to speech and the ability to hyperlink and the ability to embed videos. It just really provides them with all the opportunities. It takes it off of my plate. I don't have to guess. And one of the things that Christy brings up in her interview was that as teachers, as we get to know our students, we look at the book and we look at the student and we can guess. I know student A is going to go straight to voice recording because they just love to hear themselves, but they don't like to be on camera. Or I know that this student is going to go right to images and they're going to start dropping those in there. And it's I've been working with Christy's class with Book Creator for over a year now, and just watching them soar with the differentiation. They know exactly. And at this point, they know what their teammates and their classmates are going to choose as well. So it's really amazing to have that embedded right in there for us.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you said that, Jen, too, because I say this all the time, and I'm glad to hear somebody else say it, where, I think as a former special ed teacher, talking about this idea of differentiation, right? We always talk about it with other teachers, with special ed teachers, everybody, and it's always kind of like this, like, what does it really mean kind of thing, right? Like everybody's like, oh yeah, we talk about differentiation, but does anybody really do it well, right? Like it's like that kind of idea. And so this idea that you and Chrissy are mentioning of self-differentiation, right? I talk about this a lot, and it's not related to Jen's school at all, but my own children, right, are another example of this. I remember one time during the height of the pandemic, all three of my kids were home. I had a webinar. I just needed them to be quiet, right? So I said, go take Book Creator and go take pictures of 10 things that you find around the house that you think are interesting, and then write a sentence about each of those things. My son, who was 11 at the time, had no problem taking pictures and typing in this text, not at all. My daughter, who was 7, she had a little bit more difficulty with it, right? So she could take the pictures, no problem. But when she was typing, she didn't know how to spell everything that she wanted to spell. So she would type what she could. And then when she couldn't figure out the word, she'd hit the microphone and speak the word, and it would just go right onto the page. And so she got on with the activity and was done with it. And then my 4-year-old, who couldn't type or find the keys or spell or any of that kind of stuff, was just like, oh, well, I'll hit the audio button and I'll just record my voice. And I did nothing, right? Just like Jen said, I didn't do anything. I just said, go do this. And they figured it out themselves. And I think what's even more powerful then is what happens down the road, right? So if you have that student who is really good at recording his audio, his voice, all right, great, do that. But at some point we could say, let's take it to the next level. Record your voice, go right ahead and do that. But maybe now add a text box with what you said. And so that way they can listen to it over and over and over again and retype what they said, just as another level of that experience. So yeah, I absolutely love this.
And John, to piggyback on what you just said, I love that you just said that. I have a group of high schoolers that I met with last week. They're beginning to write essays. They are in a specialized classroom. They have a lot of challenges. Their attendance is not great. They've had a rough road in school, and many of them, I mean, when you say essay, it just brings out everything in them. And we talked about the opportunity to use Book Creator as their organizer, their brainstorming tool. So they're now using voice recordings to record all of their thoughts and ideas that they want to include in each of their separate paragraphs. And they're putting their voice notes on their pages. And then they're going to, just like you said, they're going to go back later and they're going to insert text boxes, and they're going to almost translate their own writing right into the book. So it's just, love it. Love it. All right. So, Carrie, I think it changes students' lives. I absolutely think it changes students' lives. And you'll see there one of Christy's little guys. He's a cute as he can be, but he's a tough little cookie. And getting him to write was just, it wasn't going to happen. And when we put this tool in front of him, he was very reluctant because he's not, super excited about having to learn new tools around academics. But when he realized all the options in there, I mean, he's just every day just jumps right on that beanbag and into his book and just goes for it every day. It's amazing. All right, we can go to the next page there. Collaboration. This is another one. So for us, I told you guys, we have 64 schools. We have almost 35,000 students. And Christy and I started a collaboration that we're now branching out to some other classrooms. I created these daily quick writes for her students. And this was kind of they come back from lunch, they sit down, she's trying to get them settled. So they hop into Book Creator. There's one prompt per day, and they have to respond to the prompt. And they can choose, again, however they want to respond, which is they love. And we then took it to another level I took a student of mine that actually used Book Creator when I was in the classroom a couple of years ago. I still have contact with him. He's at a completely different school. He's in a completely different classroom, a different level. And he gets, last year, he would get in there every Friday and make little comments on their entries. So after this summer, when the feedback feature popped into Book Creator, I can't even tell you, John, how that has been a game changer for him. Now he goes in on Fridays and he clicks that little button down in the corner and he's sending them video feedbacks. He's sending them stickers and the emojis, and he's typing things in there. And then her kids come in Monday morning, and the first thing they want to do is jump into Book Creator to see what he's done and what he said and how he's commented on their writing. So it's been so much fun. And we're trying to work that into some other classrooms with them doing the quick writes, and then having students in other buildings who are, we're trying to move him into more of what we're going to call like a peer feedback editor. So not only is he going to continue to give them little feedback, but we're going to try to bump it up and have him giving them some more editing tips as well. So it's just opened a whole nother, and they've never met each other. I mean, they don't live anywhere near each other. They're not in the same building. I mean, it's just amazing to see.
I love that, because there's so many things that I love about this, right? On so many different levels. But the fact that, the students who are getting the feedback now have something to look forward to, right? They are looking at feedback as not a negative, which I think a lot of times happens, whether it's with students and other students or students and teachers. I think a lot of times the feedbacker, right, is the red pen, right? That's how they're viewed. They're viewed as this evil, nasty thing that comes in at the end and says, here's what you did wrong, right, and what you need to fix. And in this situation, it's not that. It's a partnership, right? And the kids are looking forward to it. They're like, I can't wait to see how this other student tore my work apart, right? Like, they're looking forward to that because they want to make it better to please this person. So I think that's a really cool experience. And then as those kids get older, then they can return the favor, right? And they can provide the feedback to other students and just keep this cycle going. So of feedback, and how it's not a torturous thing, right? Feedback can be fun. Feedback can be informative, right? It's not just this nasty thing that happens at the end of a project, right? Or a unit or something. So I love this. I love it.
And I love that you said that also, because that's another one of our goals, is to grab some of her kids who've now been doing that for a year and receiving that feedback. And actually last year, at the end of the year, I pulled 2 of her students, and they taught 2 of the students in the younger classroom in their same building how to use Book Creator. And then they're now using quick writes every day. They do it as a whole group because they're little biddies and they can't necessarily manipulate the books on their own, but they project it. They come up to the screen. We've created some opportunities for some of the little ones to just drag over their responses. So we put some pictures and words there that they can use, or they can come up and do a voice recording or a video recording just like anyone else. And now our goal is to have some of those kids in Christy's room become their kind of peer feedback editors. So yeah, it's just, I just see it growing and growing and growing.
That's great.
So there, Carrie, when you watch her videos, you'll see that she's extremely animated. She's a ball of energy, and her kids absolutely adore her classroom. And one of the things that they did last year, I will tell you, they created these Christmas books, these story books that they worked on together as a group. And they started with ideas. They generated ideas as a group, and then they generated character ideas and all of these things. She had them bringing in props. So they bring in costumes and things that they want to incorporate into the story, and they act them out in the classroom. And then they're taking all of those thoughts and ideas and all of those things that they're doing in the classroom and putting them into this book and creating this story with the videos and images. Some of our kids drew their own illustrations and incorporated those into the books. I mean, it's just amazing amazing what she's done with some of them. Okay. So, yeah, so Christy and I talked about some specific students who just had a huge, book creator had a huge impact on. Christy will talk about a student who she was servicing who began to lose his vision, and already has all of these things working against him, these challenges that he's trying to overcome with his learning and so forth. And then his vision starts to go. And so putting book creator in allowed him to continue to have a voice that he couldn't have when he couldn't see his keyboard any longer, or he couldn't see to use paper and pencil. So just amazing. And we both brought ideas and thoughts. I mean, our students with behavior challenges, the student that I talk about here is actually the student who is now working with Christy's class as their feedback editor. And just had some really extreme challenges when I first got him. And the only thing he used book creator for at that time was to just go in a corner and just cover himself up and just make book after book after book after book, just about anything, just getting all of his ideas out. And now he's become our feedback editor for another classroom in the district. So it's just been amazing to watch that growth. So we can go to, there we go. This is fun because we did have him do a Google interview with Christy's students. We were going to interview her kids and ask them directly, what are some things you love about book creator? Let's hear it directly from the kids. And at the last minute, we decided, why are we going to interview them when we have this perfect partnership with this other student? So we set up a Google Meet, and Demetrius interviews the students in Miss Lynn's class. And some of the things that they say, I mean, Emmanuel here, the first one, he talks about how it helps him with his typing skills. And one of the other kids says his favorite thing about book creator is emojis. And if you go into his quick write book, every time there's just emojis all over the page. No matter what else he does to answer, he puts emojis everywhere. And one of the cutest ones is one of the boys talks about chipmunks when his response. And we were all a bit confused when we said, what's your favorite thing about book creator? He said chipmunks. And then we discovered that they had just completed a lesson on animals, and chipmunks was the animal he chose to write about. And so his favorite thing about book creator was that it let him write about chipmunks, because there's no way he could do that with paper and pencil the same way he was able to do it through book creator. So just super, super fun stuff. And really,
I'm still laughing about the chipmunks.
When I sent the book to Lainey and she's like, did he say chipmunks? And I'm like,
there was a huge discussion in the company, because we were like, what are we talking about here? Like, we were so confused too. So, but now that we all know the background behind it and the story, it's amazing.
It's so amazing. I mean, he had so much fun. Love it.
And Jen, if you could for a second in the chat window, I did get a question that said student ambassadors ? And so if you could clarify that a little bit, because I know exactly where Jasmine is going with this. We don't have book creator student ambassadors as a company. So maybe if you could explain a little bit more about what that means in your district, that would be great.
Yeah, so we, Demetrius is our kiddo that is our feedback editor, kind of. We didn't really have a great title for him. And when Lainey put the book together, she kind of put that student ambassador in quotes, because he is also, not only is he doing that feedback piece with the students in the other building, but one of the other things that Demetrius is doing at this point, now that I've trained several classrooms in his high school, he's a ninth grader this year. He's kind of, in my absence, I don't work in their building, so he is their book creator guy, their go-to. So when students have questions, or teachers even have questions about usage in book creator and I can't get there, they go to Demetrius, and he's that go-to person. So yeah, it's not an official title, but I think I kind of love the idea of maybe it becoming an official thing, John. So maybe we can push that out.
I think we're going to have to figure that out. I think that's a great title. And in my old district that I used to work in, they did have students that would go around and do the trainings, right? For in case that, you know, I wasn't around or my colleague wasn't around to help out. And that way teachers didn't just get left hanging, right? If they weren't sure about something and the tech people weren't around, right? Well, we had this group of students that could go do that. And so absolutely think this is amazing. And I will definitely pass it along to the team and think that we should create some kind of student ambassador program. And Jasmina says that Wakelet has a student ambassadors. So yeah, so obviously there's other student ambassador programs out there. So I don't see why we couldn't figure that out at some point.
Perfect. I love that idea. Thank you. Okay, we can go to the next page there. I think we're getting to the end here. These are just some examples of how we use Book Creator for not just classroom purposes. So on the left here, the multi-purpose, there's a few examples from some classrooms throughout the district. That first one there, a 12th grader at our zoo academy used Book Creator for her capstone project. And her book is beautiful. And so then we had a physical education teacher who during our virtual learning had students creating cookbooks that they shared out with their families. And then there's just another example there from a 4th grade classroom where they created stories during virtual learning. On the other side, outside the classroom, I've actually started using Book Creator more than I use creating, Google Slides at this point. So for example, we have a lot of accessibility features in the district, and our Ohio Accessibility Manual is hundreds of pages long. And we all know as educators, I don't always have time to read hundreds of pages to determine which features my students might qualify for, I can use on testing and so forth. So we created kind of a Cliff's Notes version for those most used features, and we use Book Creator as the way to get that out. We also have a local professional development committee, which is our LPDC, and I've created a library of books. I have an LPDC book for our new members who join our team as the committee members, and it lays out all of their things that they need to know. We've created one for teachers who are going through the relicensure process that they do every 5 years. We've created ones for new teachers to the district just to get to know what is the LPDC and what is their job and what do we do. So we've started using it for a multitude of purposes outside of just our classroom purposes. And there you have it. That's the end of our book. And John, I think you have the library code
I
shared with you. So
yeah.
I contacted John, I think that was like last week or the week before, maybe. We are such a large district, and I walk into classrooms and I see these amazing books, and I have to say, hey, can you share your library code with me? I want to look at some of those books, and I know teacher over here at this school could benefit from this as a template and so forth. And so I contacted John and I said, is there any way for us to, do this easily in the least steps possible? And so we right now, John has let me know that in the future, hopefully this will be an easier process. But for now, I have teachers who they share their codes with me, and then I copy the books that could be used by other teachers in the district, and I'm adding them to our district shared library. And then teachers can go in there. We've had them published as remixables, so they can go in and use those as templates. So this is just, feel free to jump in there. These are just some examples of some books. Some of them are completely finished. Some of them are just started as ideas. But the thought is that if I have a teacher who, say, is working with my perspectives as the curriculum that we use at 7 through 12, and they're like, how could I use this, to encourage, well, here's an idea, here's a template, and then they can remix it and change it up. There's just a variety of things. If I'm looking for how to use it for teaching sight words, or some of Carrie's books are included in there, then they can kind of grab those. This one, the Back to Basics, we use that for we had a back to school training for our autism and multiple disabilities classrooms. And we used it as our place where everyone added their thoughts and ideas throughout the entire day. And this coming Monday, we've added a parking lot. So we're getting away from those big sheets of paper hanging on the wall with Post-it notes with all those questions. And we're actually going to direct them to Book Creator for their parking lot questions. Now, everyone has it when they leave. Myself, Bridget, any other members of our team can go in later. We can respond to all those questions and they're right there in that book. It's just a great, easy way to collaborate and get all of those ideas out. And the quick writes that we use at the different levels are also included in here for our September quick writes.
This is an amazing pile of resources, and really do appreciate that you're opening this up to anybody, Jen. I will say, just from a total side note, I love when teachers join my libraries, right, to gather resources and borrow ideas and things like that. And I know Jen's excited about it too, and that's why she gave the code that is in the chat window. But please be mindful, because I've had this happen a few times. When you join the library, make sure that you're not adding additional books in there, right, that aren't supposed to be in there. Make sure you don't accidentally give this code to your students. I've had that happen as well, where, I think it's all books I want to share with teachers, and I go into my library and all of a sudden there's an entire classroom book on frogs in there. And it was because it was on accident, right? And they gave the wrong code. So again, borrow the information, use the information at will, but just be mindful that library is for you and not for your students, and not for you to write stuff in and put stuff in. It's just to kind of gather those resources. So just kind of keep that in mind. As again, side note, I've made thousands and thousands of libraries, and I've seen it happen over and over again. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. So Tracy, thanks us very much for this. Would love to have us come out and work with them at JPP.
Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
So,
yeah, be happy to do that, Tracy. Tracy,
awesome.
Tracy and I team taught kindergarten together many moons ago in one classroom with, I think we had about 60 or 65 kids, and it was craziness. So fun. Yes, I'd love to come do that.
That's awesome. And then before I forget as well, I did just put a link into the chat window. And so that link is going to take you to a special section on our website, all geared towards special education students. So tons of resources, lots of ideas, upcoming webinars, things like that might be related. But there's also a special link in there where you can potentially get a consultation with me, right? I have limited spots available, but I'd love to talk with your districts about special ed and how we can use Book Creator to help in those situations. So again, that's there, that link. So make sure you take that link and fill out the form, look at all the different information that's on there. This book, this information's there as well. So tons of great stuff. And I just want to say thanks everybody for being here. We really do appreciate it, and appreciate your time. And Jen, thank you so much for sharing your amazing stories from your district. And I cannot wait to continue this partnership and see where we go from here. And I'm glad that Tracy, and I'm sure other people from your district, are going to see this and be like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, we want in on that too. So this is very exciting. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day. Be safe out there, and happy bookmaking.